The dashboard drives everything.
We're going to go back live where Metrolinx CEO is now taking questions about the delays to the Eglinton Crosstown LRT.
Metrolinx filed an application with courts. Just wondering what the status is on that legal action.
So broadly speaking, the courts found in our favor that instead of litigation, CTS has to follow the agreed path of an arbitration. Now, we've got a lot of disputes, commercial disputes with CTS. And all of these commercial disputes are dealt with as commercial issues separately and are not interfering with the delivery of the project. We have to have, look, my singular objective is to get the CTS project opened and to get it operational. But at the same time, we have a commercial responsibility to deal responsibly with taxpayers' money and get value for money. So the commercial issues are happening separately, and we're keeping that separate from the operational issues to deliver the project on time.
I find it extraordinary that you're not willing to give even a range of estimates here for two reasons. One, because, as my colleague mentioned, the public has been waiting many, many years for this to open. And what we're hearing today is we don't know if it's 12 months, we don't know if it's 36 months, we don't know if it's 120 months. We have no idea. And as part of that question, I take your point that this is a complex stage, but every transit project goes through this complex stage. So what is unique here that makes you unable to say, even an estimate of how long this stage might take?
So Oliver, I didn't say what you've just said there. I didn't say that we had no idea. I actually said quite the opposite. I said that given the new schedule we've got from CTS and keeping a close eye, as we've always done on CTS's rate of production, I explicitly said we have a really good idea of when the approximate date of opening this, let me complete my answer. A really good idea of what the approximate trajectory of the completion of this project is. However, I'm seeing too many defects and issues arising from the testing commissioning phase. And therefore, I can't give you a range that I'm comfortable with that'll give enough certainty that I am comfortable with, or that we as a project team are comfortable with. So what we're doing is we're committing to come back every 2 months, give a project update, and as we get through the testing commissioning phase, which is the high-risk phase, we will declare a date. I also said very explicitly that to do an estimate now or a guess of a date is not constructive for us. So we will go slow here. We are building a transit project for the next 150, 200 years. I'm not rushing through this phase. I'm making sure we get it right and declaring a date when the time is right to declare a date. And the time is not right now.
Can't even declare a year?
So I don't understand how you can swear what you just said. You have a very good estimate, and you're not comfortable sharing an estimate.
Yes, because the estimate is based on what we know now. And as we go through the testing commissioning phase, more things are found. So as I said in my introductory notes, 3 weeks ago, we heard about fleet availability issues that CTS didn't alert us to before. And that's going to add a chunk of time further to delay the project. So this is a very simple equation. We are going to get this right. We are focused on getting this rolled out and opened up so that it's a safe and reliable system. And when we're ready to declare a date, we will do so, not before.
Hi, Phil. Jamie Strachan with the CBC. I want to talk about leadership, your leadership, more specifically on this file that's held this city hostage for going on 15 years with still no end in sight. You've talked about the complexity of the project. You're one of the highest paid public servants in the province. You're here to shepherd and steward this project. When does the buck eventually stop with you on this project? What responsibility do you bear here, and when will you step aside if this project isn't done in due time?
I have full accountability and responsibility to get this project over the line. This is what myself and my team and 1,400 other people are dedicated to achieve. I serve at the pleasure of the minister. These projects are complicated, they are complex. We've got 4 partners on this project that are global and national companies that are really good companies with good people. And we're doing everything to get this over the line. But to your question, I'm accountable. I'm doing everything possible. I'm humbled by the fact that we've got an opportunity to make this impact to Toronto, but I'm accountable, and I serve at the Minister's pleasure.
Follow up to that, I want to ask you about the communication strategy on this. I mean, here we're having a press conference today to give no information essentially as to when this is open. Your comms department has basically obfuscated on this for the last few months, not replying to numerous media requests. I think my colleagues can account to that. How can the public still trust the messaging from this organization? It's this game of cat and mouse. Sometimes we're accountable, we're having, you know, all these things to bring the community in, but in the end, you're still not able to provide any concrete information about when this will open. How is this going on and on and on and still acceptable?
Great question. Thank you very much. We provided you with concrete information today. And the concrete information I provided you today is that we have a dashboard with detailed facts over there that shows you our rate of progress, that shows you where the high-risk areas are. I've given you a lot of clarity on what the different contributory causes are. I've given you a clear sense of why we're not willing to declare one thing that we're not willing to say today, and that is what the opening date is. But we're willing to declare everything else on the project, as we have done today. That's a very transparent presentation you had. And we will continue to do that every 2 months from here onwards.
Phil, sorry, Lex Harvey with the Toronto Star. I'm wondering if you can give us an updated budget on this project.
So the total budget for the project, and we publish this information, and it's poorly reported out there, but the total budget of the project is around $12 billion. And we are currently on expenditure and approvals where we are at $12.56 billion. And so sometimes there are wildly diverging reports in the public domain on that. I encourage you to watch the Metrolinx reporting that happens at board cycles. So let's talk about that a little bit. Some of our contractors have a very strong view that we are commercially very tough, I would say very fair, because we deal with public sector money. And I think that's really important. But in the end, that does not interfere with our total focus to get these projects open and accessible for the public to use, because it has a huge impact on the economy of the region.
So you said that part of the reason why this project has taken so long is that it was uniquely complex, but now we've seen the Finch LRT is delayed as well. I'm wondering if you could give us an update on that, and then also just more broadly, how can the public be able to trust Metrolinx with delivering these kinds of projects?
The Finch project, if you look carefully, over the last year and a half, has made immense progress. And so has our Ontario project, Hazel McCallion line, and to be honest, so has most of our other projects as well. But all of our projects have been affected to a more or lesser extent by the COVID pandemic and sort of the resource crunch that different projects have experienced post-COVID. So I'm very excited about where we are with our program. We've just come through a significant procurement phase on our subways program. We are busy in the procurement of the last 2 big contracts on the Ontario line. We are kicking off the RFP phase for the Yonge North subway extension. We're very close to the Eglinton and Crosstown West extension station contracts getting let. So that whole raft of contracts that was necessary to be competed in an international global market that is investing in infrastructure, we've made huge progress with. And so if I bring us back to the Ontario, to the Eglinton and Crosstown, got to say this to you, I am, given the facts of what has caused the different delays, I am very excited about the Eglinton and Crosstown. We are not that far away. We are very excited about this project, and it's going to have a huge impact on Toronto.
Okay, we're going to take a couple more. Beatrice Basin, CP24. So are we now not even saying 2024? At this point, you're not willing to commit that, the year even?
So, look, I appreciate that you keep on asking that, because I know this is the question on everyone's mind. And I just want to say this again, and I know it's not popular to say I'm not willing to declare a date. But I have to be convinced, and so has my organization, has to be convinced that we're giving you a fair date, that is fairly reasonably achievable. And so I've declared no date. I've just given you a very clear indication that we will declare a date once we are comfortable that the testing commissioning phase has been completed.
Bill, Matt Bingley with Global News. That dashboard, is that going to be available to the public so people can see real-time updates? And just on the communication standpoint, it's been documented that you've had frictions with the provincial government about how much information you're able to give us and the public. Can you just take us through what finally allowed them to, I guess, let up the pressure and allow you to talk?
So thanks for that question. The dashboard is available. It's available to you. You can report on the dashboard, and therefore it's available to the public. And we will come back every 2 months and give you an update on where we are on that dashboard. As for your question about communicating about our programs and projects as a whole, it is perfectly reasonable in any jurisdiction I've ever been where transit is a big part of the government of the day's portfolio, that there's an organization around what messaging is made available at what point in time. And so we work with that. I am naturally a person that wants to communicate and want to get the facts out there. So we will continue to do that, and I'm very much committed to get you, every 2 months, get you in this room and give you updates on where we are on the program.
And just to follow up on what Lex was asking you about just the credibility of Metrolinx in delivering grand-scale infrastructure projects. You almost started to talk about the Ontario line a moment ago. That is already tying up significant parts of the city. Should people just, based on what we're hearing today, just add maybe plus or minus a year or two on all these dates when it comes to completion dates now? Because they're seemingly, especially with the Finch LRT, not really reliable when it comes to a completion date? So it'll be my intention that as we come back to you every 2 months, that we give you updates on other projects as well, such as Finch West and the Hazel-McCallion line and the like. As for your question about the Ontario line and the other subway programs, look, we are committed. Our contractors are committed. Our parties are committed to deliver these programs. And we will keep on updating you and keep on putting whatever resources is required, whatever technical skills are required, whatever commercial skills are required into these projects to make sure that they get delivered as soon as possible and get over the line as soon as possible.
You twist on your follow-up.
Yeah.
I'll take one more from the audience.
When it comes to the defects, Phil, what's contributing to now more than 200 still remaining? Is it shoddy workmanship? Is it poor products? What is the root cause here?
Great question. It's, you know, defects and deficiencies vary throughout the span of the project. And what Phil didn't say but could have said is that that list of defects, at time, I think we've closed out about 1,400 of those already. So we're down to 225 now from 260, but it's like a concertina. It keeps on moving. It gets bigger, then it gets smaller as it gets fixed. And this is not a question of sloppy workmanship or the like. This is very often about technical issues, interpretation of drawings, interpretation of standards, genuine, like you saw on Sloane Square, genuine error in terms of level choices that were made of the platform. It's all of the above. What I think you need to keep in mind is we're building this infrastructure for a 150, 200-year life cycle. So why I'm so obsessed about this particular phase of the project is this is when we get it right. And we have to get it right. And we have to be meticulous in getting it right. For whatever reason, the defects are there. And the testing and commissioning phase is when deficiencies and defects are found. So we're not surprised by that. This is typically what you see on projects, but we are intent that it must be fixed and rectified according to the schedule.
Okay, let's do one more.
Phil, Agent Mandy from Metrolinx, if you're committing to regular updates every 2 months, how can we interpret that as anything other than you are saying that this could take a significant amount of time to get done?
Don't draw any conclusions from every 2 months. Every 2 months is a good cycle within which we can come back to you and tell you what progress has been made on key issues. So I know it's tempting to try and interpret what I what I think the opening date is, I can just say to you, give us some space, let us come back to you and give you that feedback on where we are, what progress we're making, and we will report that every time we come back, every 2 months.
Okay, we're gonna do Oliver and then last one over there.
You didn't love my question when I suggested you had no idea when it was going to be open. And you said you have an estimate, but the public has no idea when it's going to be open. And what can the public take from this briefing? All we can do is write a story saying, hey, there's a bunch of problems with it, and Phil Verster won't say when it's going to open. So can we give any sort of specificity, 2024, 2025, this decade? Is there anything you can say that would tell the public something about when this is going to open?
I'm giving you no indication on range today. I'm giving you a sense that we'll come back every 2 months and we'll give you an update on progress, and once we are satisfied that the high-risk testing commissioning phase is completed, we will declare an opening date.
So in follow-up to that, you're obviously familiar as a transit professional with the problems the REM had in Montreal in its opening weeks. Given the focus you're giving them today on testing and commissioning, how important that is to you, obviously, can the public expect that the opening of this line is going to be flawless and not have those problems?
Yes?
Your reputation on that?
Yes?
Okay, last question here.
Jack from the Toronto Sun on behalf of Brian Lilly. He says, Mr. Verster, your term as Metrolinx CEO expires on Monday, unless he says you've signed a new contract. He says, a few months ago, there were reports that your new contract would pay you more than $1 million per year in salary and bonuses. And then he goes on to say, did you sign a new contract? And if so, will it come close or go above that $1 million mark?
I've not signed any revised contract. As such, I don't determine my salary. It is a matter that is resolved by the minister and the board, and I have not asked for any increases. I have not asked for anything at all. I'm just humbled to be here and to continue to do the work.
Can I just ask other Phil a
Last
question?
question. Oh, Phil Turner?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Sorry to call you other
This is
Phil,
the
there,
last
Phil.
question. Okay.
Just a technical thing on the groundwater that was penetrating the station. Which station was that, and can you sort of take us through what happened there?
Yeah, so there have been a few locations. So one in particular that's actually, we've got engineers going out next week is Keelsdale Station. So that's actually undergoing its final substantial completion review. CTS have implemented engineering solutions to deal with these issues. So there have been inspections. There may be 1 or 2 deficiencies drop out of that, but they've been working hard to get it fixed and put the problem behind them.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We've been listening to executives from Metrolinx taking many questions about the long-delayed Eglinton Crosstown LRT.